Hi, I'm Sheriff Gary Hofmann, and with me today is one of my partners in law enforcement, our state's attorney, Lance Richardson.
Thanks for having me today.
Welcome, Lance. Thanks for being here.
Appreciate
I'll tell you, the one thing that you and I have always thought is really important is getting a message out to parents and families about issues that affect our kids in the community. One of the big issues is something that affects all the kids that are in our schools. It's something that your office and my office is hearing a lot about, and I know recently your office and our staff, as well as Kathy Wright from the health department, and all have been involved in this issue with this incense issue and this synthetic marijuana issue that's out there.
It's a real problem here recently. Something that's new on the scene, new to the community, and it's an ever-evolving substance abuse problem in our community. Oftentimes, once we can address an issue, it used to be inhalants that was a real problem, but it's constantly evolving, and we have to catch up with the latest trends, and this is our most recent and disturbing situation in this community.
And I know your office has been involved working with the laws that the federal government's created, banning this chemical compound that's used in this synthetic marijuana. But from what I'm gathering, they're altering, the manufacturers have altered some things. And
unfortunately, whenever there's a profit to be made, there's companies out there that can re-engineer the components of a synthetic substance. So once a substance is classified or scheduled by the government as a dangerous substance that needs to be controlled, it's simple enough for some of these manufacturers to simply change the substances and circumvent the new laws. Mm-hmm. So the laws generally are playing catch up. Whenever some new form of crime evolves, we then have to go to our legislators and ask them to criminalize something. So the drug companies or the manufacturers of this substance, they're staying one step ahead of us, and that's what we're dealing with in this community.
The funny part about this is that this is a package and this is an incense. This is something that clearly on the back says not for human consumption and clearly says burn in a well-ventilated open area. And what we're seeing is local businesses are actually selling this. And although it may not be illegal and it may not be something at this point in time, it's really a moral issue of these businesses know there's a profit to be made. They know that our youth are buying this to smoke. And I guess you and I were talking earlier about the parent thing, and you brought up some really good points, about the parents and all.
Absolutely. The parents have to play a key role in this, because just like before, a few years ago when kids were inhaling dangerous substances, those substances weren't necessarily illegal when they were used for their intended purpose. But if some child wants to inhale a substance that may potentially kill them, it's somewhat similar to this, that although it may not be criminal to buy this substance and use it for its intended purpose, incense, if a child wants to use it for personal consumption, that's where, to the extent they possibly can, parents have to educate their children, explain to them that this could kill them, could have serious medical consequences, brain damage, things of that nature, that the parents play a key role. And when you're talking about there's a profit to be made, also the community, if the community can go to these merchants and say, it may not be illegal to sell this, but I would appreciate you pulling this off the shelves to protect our community, to look out for our children, and I will give you my business if you're a responsible merchant and you're willing to get this off your shelves.
And we've seen that with the a lot of the pharmacies that are out there when we were dealing with issues with the sinus medications that were being used to create drugs with. The retailers that were involved in the pharmacies actually took that medication and pulled that out and put it behind the shelves so that people weren't out there making drugs with sinus medication. So it was very important. Correct. They did the responsible thing. Correct. And I think your message is really clear to the merchants to be responsible and do the right thing and stop selling it to our kids.
And word of mouth and social media, whatever, to say, here's the information out there. Maybe this merchant, we've asked this merchant to pull this off the shelves. I know it came up with some of the dangerous high alcohol drinks that were out there, some of the drinks that mix caffeine and alcohol that were having tragic effects and outcomes that a lot of merchants were willing to get that off their shelves before it was criminalized, just to say, as a responsible merchant, I don't want to endanger the community. And it sure would be nice if some of our local merchants would say that. I care about this community. It's a tough economy. I'm going to do what's responsible so that the community will give me their business, knowing that I care, and it's not all about making a dollar.
Yeah, and the funny part is we put a posting on Facebook last night, and I referenced your office and our partnership working together in this, but it was amazing with this Facebook post just last night that how many people responded back and identified just about 3 or 4 merchants in our county that are doing this, but there's also a lot of really good responsible merchants that are doing the right thing. So we really applaud them for what they're doing. But the 4 or 5 that are identified, I plan on posting their names on my Facebook page. Absolutely. To let the public know, hey, if this is where your kids are buying this stuff, even though it's not illegal, but this is the source.
Right. And provide them with the information and say, this is why we're concerned. These are the potential consequences. We would wish you not to carry this substance because, although yes, you can say it's intended for incense, we know, law enforcement knows that it's being abused. And because it's being abused, how about we just get it off the shelves? You have 1,000 other legitimate products you can sell. Is it going to make or break your business just not to carry this? And one would hope that they would say, you're right, I care, I want to be a part of this community, I'm not going to endanger it.
And the one thing we were talking about earlier too is really starts with the parents. I mean, educating the parents and making the parents aware of what to look for. Your child having lighters, rolling papers, these foil incense containers laying around the house, different things.
Right.
But the one thing that you and I were talking about earlier, which is the most important, is the level of communication with your child. Because if you can't talk to your child, you may find these things, but you're not going to.
Yeah, and what you're doing, getting the word out, educating the parents, the warning signs, what to look for, that's absolutely essential. The other component is open lines of communication between the parents and children. And it's easier said than done. It's not always easy to have these difficult conversations with young people. But what are the alternatives if you just turn your head? I don't see any good reason why a teenager is constantly burning incense or having substances like that around. It's just easier to get them out of your house and deal with the situation head on.
Yeah, and the part about this that we're seeing is we're actually getting feedback from some parents, as well as from what I've gathered, some of the information from the emergency rooms and things, that this is here. We're seeing that kids are now experimenting with this, they're becoming addicted to this substance, and it's causing problems. And like you said initially, the health risks just in itself aren't worth it. So we hope the parents do the right thing, and we hope the merchants do the right thing, and you and I as partners, as well as the health department and many other people, the Maryland State Police and other agencies, are going to do our best to educate the public and deal with this problem that we've got going on.
Absolutely.
So, well, thanks for being our partner.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lance.